He's pulling guys, getting guys in space. What have you seen just in that sense from the offensive line and the ability to make big runs by blocking guys in space that way?
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to make any conclusions off of the first couple games, but you go off of what you see on film, and I think guys first off are playing hard, they're running to the football, but they're getting to the next level better. I think you've seen that on film. Guys are getting up to the second level better on a few of the stuff that we had organized for this past game. And, you're seeing pad level lower, and guys are rocking off the ball, and I think the running backs are running hard. But I don't think we're in any place right now to make any judgments on where we are. But that was what we did on Saturday.
Far left, Joe Nugent, WCMH.
Were you satisfied with the rotation at right guard, and is that something you can see doing moving forward?
Yeah, I think both those guys deserve to play. I mentioned that last week, and they both did. We'll continue to evaluate it and grade and make sure, but we all know we're going to need these guys. And that's the thing, whether it's Travion and Quinchon or Austin and Tegra. I mean, these guys are team players, and they want to win. That's the number one thing here. It isn't about statistics or anything like that. There'll be plenty of snaps to go around. We know that. So this week we got a new challenge out of us, conference game on the road. So those guys will help each other, and we'll see how this week of practice goes, and as we get closer to the game, put a plan together.
Far right, Cameron T. Robinson, The Athletic.
Ryan, when you look back at film or talk to JD, what did you see that went wrong with his kickoff, and how do you evaluate that one?
Yeah, I just talked to him about his mindset, and he gave me some information just about a little tweak that he had, and he's either has to make the correction or has to communicate to us that there was an issue. So talked to him for a while though about that and how much we need to move forward.
When you say tweak, injury or just something changing his what he was doing?
Yeah, he felt a little something somewhere early on, and wasn't able to quite make the adjustment from there. So nothing long term or anything like that.
Far right, Adam King, WBNS.
Coach, getting ready to go on the road for the first time, how much does changing, going downtown before the home games help get you prepared, or does it at all to go on the road? How do you change your weekly things to get ready for conference play?
We try to keep it as close to our normal routine as possible. I would say that we do have a little bit more of that feel when we're downtown, that we're on our own and a little bit more isolated, which is good. I think it avoids some distractions as much as we liked being here on campus. But this is new. I mean, you're going on the road in a conference environment. I'm sure they'll have a great crowd, night game. They're playing good football, so we've got to face our first challenge on the road, and that comes with a lot of different things. And like you said, new traveling and handling the crowd noise and all the above. So good challenge for us. We're looking forward to it.
Right next door, Dave Holmes, WSYX.
Yeah, so Michigan State's had 3 close games. You guys obviously haven't had one. I know the goal is not to play a close game. You'd rather win by 40 or 50. But how much does the experience of a close game matter, and how do you simulate that with your guys when you haven't experienced it in real time?
I think when you have a young team, I think it's significant. I think our guys have played a lot of football and been around a lot of games, different styles of games. So we should be able to adjust pretty quickly.
Front row left, Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Back to right guard for a moment. When you guys are making a decision like that to rotate, how do you balance, we want to have cohesion up front with the same 5 guys, get Tegra as much maybe reps as possible, getting Donnie back, with also wanting to build that depth of getting Austin in there? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think, giving both of them a chance to catch their breath for a series or two is actually a good thing for a young player. So we look at that during the week. We'll rotate those guys during the week so that there's chemistry between Josh Fryer, Seth, and both of those guys when they're in there. And I think when you practice that way and then you play that way, there isn't all of a sudden like this chemistry issue or anything like that. As long as whoever's not in the game is really focused in, seeing the plays on the tablet, seeing the adjustments in real time, I think that's good. And I do think that is a benefit to having a tablet is, although they're not in there getting the rep, they can actually see what happened in the last series and make any kind of adjustments that are going on in game.
Just a quick follow-up. Is Tegra definitely the starter there, or is it a pretty good battle there between him and Austin? Or?
Yeah, we're going to keep moving forward just like we just did and let these guys both play. And as of right now, Tegra's going to start, but excited about that, and I do think it's good for them, especially early on, to have a series to catch their breath and get back in there.
Dylan Davis, Delaware Gazette.
Devin Brad got a chance to get in there and done a ball around a little bit. What was your assessment of Devin and how he played?
A couple, the third down conversion was good. He did miss a couple throws, so, probably not as much, in the game to really make a huge evaluation on, but every play is an evaluation. We're trying to, build that depth, and so, the development has to keep coming in practice, and when we get in there in a game, we want to move the ball down the field and score touchdowns.
As you enter conference play, these chances to get these guys in the game might be a little bit more difficult to come by. Is Devin still your unquestioned number 2 quarterback right now? Or is that a competition at all still? Or is he guys are competing every day in practice. He would be our number 2 right now, but yeah, that's across the board. Everyone's got an opportunity to compete, and there's 5 guys in that room that want to get out there, and so to say they're not competing every day wouldn't be right for them. They got to come in and bring it, and so we'll have opportunities today and this week in practice to evaluate them and kind of see where we go. But right now he is our 2.
Right behind him, Andy Backstrom, Letterman Row.
Yeah, Ryan, what makes Cornell so valuable when the ball isn't in his hands? Like whether it's a perimeter blocking, pre-snap motion, feels like you guys lean on him for a lot. So what makes him so valuable in those situations?
His accountability is tremendous. His blocking, his attention to detail, like you said, his route running, the precision of his routes. And he's had a great guy in Mecca to look up to. We saw Marvin work last year, but he's carving out his own legacy here. He's a guy that we look to who has become a major part of our offense, and someone that does a lot of things for us. He's on punt return. He's running a lot of the stuff there. He's extremely talented, running routes and catching balls, and so you can see all that. But he's becoming a complete football player and also a leader.
Don Tiberi, WBNS.
Coach, how much more do things ramp up now that the non-conference is over and you're going into Big Ten play and scout Spartan for you?
Yeah, it's always about us, so, we always say that the opponent doesn't matter, but all that being said, going on the road, the conference opponent is a big deal, so everything's got to ramp up, and now we're into game 4, and we got to keep upgrading each week, so, we got to have a great week of practice, and, everything needs to ramp up. I think, first off, Jonathan's done a really good job already of establishing an identity there. I feel like, they have a really good quarterback, good young quarterback who can do a lot of different things. He can beat you with his feet. He's made some really nice throws, in some big games for them, and, he won a game on the road already at Maryland, so for a young quarterback, that's should give him a lot of confidence. On defense, they're playing really, really hard. You can tell they're well coached. So I think he's upgraded in a lot of areas, and he's doing a good job. So we gotta, this is a Big Ten road game for us, and we gotta bring it.
Bill Landis, Kings of the North.
Brian, you guys have been really explosive passing, a lot of shortstop screens and slants and all that kind of stuff. As the offense continues to evolve, would you like to see more vertical shots in the offense, or are you pretty comfortable with where you are now and how kind of precise you've been on the shot?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we want to always, be able to run it right at you, run it outside, run it, or throw the ball, horizontally and throw it vertically. And when you can do all those things, you're putting the defense in, highest amount of stress as possible. And a big part of that, though, is what the defense is giving. They want to play, real deep and, keep it in front, then we got to do a good job of getting efficient with those. If they start to challenge a little bit more, then we got to get behind them and run by them. So if you can do all of those things along with, in the run game, you have the quarterback involved with it, again, we feel like that's putting a lot of stress on the defense. And but the key is, when they take away something, can you get to the next thing? And that's what's important. But we worked hard to try to make sure we have diversity within the offense.
Will had said, I think in camp, that he was trying to work on being a more consistent downfield thrower. He hasn't had a large, volume of downfield targets just yet, but what have you made of that so far?
Yeah, no, he's really made some great balls and great throws in practice, and he's really made a lot of progress. He has. So long way to go. Still early in the season, but he can make them all, and he's done it in practice, and so I think the timing is continuing to improve. You can just see the ball's coming out of his hands, and the receivers are maybe even not even on their break quite yet. I mean, that's a good sign. Those are all good signs. And, you know, and our guys do such a great job downfield of going up and getting it too. So there's a lot of opportunity and, you know, a lot of games ahead of us.
Tony Gervin, Buckeye Huddle.
How much feedback do you get from Will during the week? I know he'll ask, you know, what do you feel comfortable about, but in terms of who he wants to get involved, or, you know, what he's seeing from his teammates that, you know, maybe he's giving feedback on them, like, can we get Carnell involved, stuff like that?
We always want to make sure that we're getting everybody involved. Now, a big part of that is, you know, whatever it takes to go score a touchdown. I mean, that's the number one thing here. But, you know, we want to put stress on the defense. How do you do that? You spread the ball around. So that's something we just do naturally. There's a lot of conversation on a daily basis during the day, conversation on the field, conversation after the field, text messages at night, you know, those types of things. But most of the conversation is between he and Chip, and, you know, in those meetings. But I'm right there as well, and you know, just, you know, it's great because Chip brings such a different perspective to the table for us. But at the same time, there's certain things that, you know, we've seen over the years that we know show up in some, you know, some of these, you know, opponents that we're playing, and what's coming down the road in the Big Ten. And Will has his own experience of playing in the Big 12, those games. So a lot of good conversation there, and I think it's all healthy.
Has that picked up since the season started, or was that something that's been going on, you know, since the spring, or like when did things really pick up in terms of the conversation?
I don't know if there's any. I mean, it's always been good. I think as he's starting to learn the offense, he gets more and more comfortable. You know, he's able to get more feedback on what he's seeing, and I think it's good to get in here and watch film on your own before the coaches even get to you. You know, what are you seeing? If he comes in with some different ideas that are in line with us, then we know we're getting, you know, the mindset correctly. We're teaching it the right way, and he's understanding it. So it's good to get some of his thoughts, you know, on a Monday when, you know, he's watched the film fresh.
Matt Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Ryan, we haven't talked a ton about tight ends, but you guys are obviously using a number of them. How, to the average person, it may not come across, but how impactful are they in terms of what you guys are doing on offense?
I think, you know, the tight end position here is critically important because it can put a lot of stress on the defense in different ways. The running and the blocking and the, you know, the pass catching and all those different things can really create a mismatch for us. And when we're able to get in and out of personnel groupings, we feel like that also gives us a little something. So we're always talking about, you know, how do you put stress on the defense, and this is another way for us to, you know, to try to do that by changing up these personnel groupings, and having tight ends that can do multiple things allows us to do that.
Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Spring was interesting for you having to make some hires at times that you necessarily don't have to make hires. How well did you know Carlos Loughlin, if at all, before that situation arose where you had to go find a running back coach?
The first time I met him was on a Zoom call during the interview. You know, we had interviewed, Chip and I, several candidates. I think he might have been 8 or 9 or 10 or somewhere along there. And he almost interviewed us. You know, like he had a presentation ready, he gave his drills. I mean, I think we said hello and he ran it from the rest of the way, and it was like, this is our guy. I mean, he was tremendous. And then shared with us his story. Now, we had done a little background, but to hear the whole story of how he got into the game and his passion, and, you know, he knew everything about Chip, he knew everything about me, you know, he had knew everything about Ohio State going into the interview, like, you know, and it was just really, really impressive. And, you know, when it came to like the run game, you know, identifying, you know, what the blocking schemes were like, how the running back runs, you know, in you know, these type of run schemes, and what he's looking for, and then how does he drill it, and mindset, mentality. But of all the things that I liked the most, it was his mindset and his mentality.
And see, there's a lot of guys on offensive staff where you didn't have prior relationships with them before, obviously in different roles in your life, right? With him, it just seems like outside guy, you needed to go find a running backs coach, and as you're talking about, that guy just wowed you away. Having that guy who maybe doesn't necessarily think the way a lot of you guys do, how has he added to the room overall when you guys are sitting in those offensive meetings right now?
I think some people ask, you know, what are some of the things that you've learned, you know, every year you learn more as a head coach. And, you know, I didn't know Jim Knowles when I hired him. I had never met him before. And the same thing with Carlos. And I think what you want to do is you want to go hire the best fit, but you got to hire the best person for the role in that time. And so you got to be thorough on it. Sometimes it takes more time to make sure you bring in the right person for that spot. And, you know, we felt like Carlos was that guy. But I think anytime you come in with a buy-in, but also a different perspective, it's healthy for the room. ask questions, challenge. You know, have you ever thought about doing it this way? This is the way we've done it. Show you some clips of film, you know, just to kind of splash the water, I think is great. And I think early on, you got to kind of learn the way that it's, you know, our system works, which she's done a great job of. But even now, just gives little ideas here and there out of practice of things that, you know, he's done at some of his prior stops. And that's all really, really healthy stuff. It just gives you perspective too.
Spencer Holbrook, let him in row.
Ryan, we talked so much about the quality of the offensive line, but what have you seen so far from Josh Simmons? I'm sure it's good when you don't hear much from a left tackle, but it's always breaking through.
Yeah, I think Josh has played much more physical. He's finishing to the ball more. He's finishing the strain more. He's put more time in studying. He's a year into the system. So, you know, we're counting on him to, you know, be, you know, the left tackle that we need to go reach our goals. Still early, but you're seeing progress there.
Stefan Kreisnik, Cleveland.com.
You mean Paul?
Yeah.
Okay. With Travion and kind of the combo that he's had with Quinn Sean, where have you seen him kind of grow, and how do you think he's kind of embraced the role of splitting the reps more?
I think they've both been excellent. Yeah, and I think that's, people ask all the time, but they pull for each other. And you can see in this game, they both had great games. They both were the player of the game on offense for us. And, you know, when Quinn Sean's got a great run in front of the team, Trey's cheering him on and vice versa. You know, so they know what a long season it is. And I think they both make each other better.
Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Ryan, do you expect Tyleek Williams to be able to practice and play this week? And what was your assessment just overall of how the other defensive tackles played against Marshall?
Yeah, I think that Tyleek's day today, he'll be out there today. We'll see how it goes. I think when you watch the film, there was good play, but there needs to be more consistent play. And so, you know, there's a lot to learn from there and a lot to grow from. And this is an opportunity to build depth in that room. You know, when Tyleek, you know, was out there, you know, he certainly makes his impact felt. And just like when we lost Donovan there for those couple of weeks, you know, it was an opportunity. And so you learn about that when you have to step into that role. It's different than when you're, you know, playing 10 to 15 snaps in a backup capacity to when you're the guy. So good challenge for those guys. And I think, you know, everybody in that room would tell you that there was some good plays, but there needs to be more consistent play.
Steve Hellwagen, 24/7 Sports.
Just put my hand up and get right in. Want to ask about the defense, just some problems getting off the field on 3rd and 4th down this past week. Was there a consistent theme to anything that you guys saw, or some things that maybe future opponents could hone in on to convert some of those in future games?
Yeah, every time you get done with the game, you evaluate it and try to sort through, you know, what went well and what needs to improve. And, you know, I'm not going to get into all the different things right now, but, you know, there was definitely some plays on 3rd down that we'd like to have back and we'd like to execute better.
Is pass rush where you want it right now, just 1 sack? This past week, and it wasn't even out of the regular 4-man, it was out of the Rushman kind of special package.
You know, I think what's important for everybody to understand, and that includes, you know, JT and Jack and our guys, is, you know, if an offense decides that they're not going to give up any sacks, they can run the ball every play, throw RPO, or throw to get a ball out of their hand quickly. And so it isn't a game of stats. What you got to do is you got to stop the run. And if the quarterback, you know, is in a situation where he's looking to run quarterback draw or quarterback power or those type of things, we got to stop the run first. The sacks will come. So, you know, just to go out there and think you're just going to go sack the quarterback, if one of the things that the other, you know, side of the ball decides is we're not just going to take a 5-step drop and hang on to the ball, then those opportunities aren't going to be there. You have to defend what the other team is trying to do. And so, you know, that's just the bottom line. And, you know, when you have talented pass rushers like that, you know, you're going to get some different styles of play. And so we all just have to make sure that, you know, we understand the goal is first is to stop the run. And then secondly, it's obviously, you know, about disrupting the passing game. But there's different ways to disrupt the passing game. And to think that, you know, the guys are just going to drop back pass in a game like that, you know, it's going to happen. The ball came out quick. You know, the quarterback did not hang on to it. So you know, there's a lot of things that come with that, and we could talk about this for hours, but I want to make sure that the number one goal is the number one goal, and that's to stop the run and get off the field on third down, whatever that takes. And it may not be a sack.
Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Did you hear anybody from the Woody days about going into the tee on that Silverville hire?
The tee, well, yeah, Chip brought it out in the spring game, and, you know, that was kind of a robust there to show respect to Coach Hayes and you know, the way they used to run the ball here. So, you know, we wanted to do that then. Now, you know, that formation gives us a little something. It gives us some balance. And so, you know, we'll continue to build on it as the season goes on.
Is Chip ran a lot of UCLA with it for some PE, or not a lot, but he ran somewhat UCLA. Is it something he kind of suggested he was something you could do?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was something he's got a little bit of background in. So we you know, spent some time talking about it this off season and looked at some different things out of it. And so, you know, when appropriate, we'll utilize it.
Far left, Whitney Harding, WCMH.
Hi Ryan, kind of a left field question. I wasn't sure what to ask you. Have you heard about the story about Michigan State's Armorian Smith and that he's raising his 5 siblings? I mean, it's just a truly incredible story, and I was wondering what your thoughts were on, you know, what these kids on a regular go through.
Right.
And the extra time that he's putting into all of this.
Yeah, you know, I was told secondhand a little bit. I don't know all the details, so it'd be hard for me to comment on it. But I certainly, what I've heard, you know, have a lot of respect, you know, for that situation and understand the challenges that I can't imagine what that challenge is like. But and everything that it sounds like, you know, he and his family have gone through. So, you know, it's one of the things that, you know, kind of gets lost a little bit. You know, is that, you know, these are young men, and not everybody's has the same family situation or dynamic, and that's why we always have to make sure we focus on, you know, one of our goals here is to raise great young men and to be supportive and those type of things. And so, you know, again, I don't know all the details, but certainly, you know, have a lot of respect and you know, I've definitely thought about what that means for he and his family.
Austin Ward, the podcast.
Ryan, just last week, you were in here talking about with the tackles that Caden, Will, Jason might have some opportunities, and I don't know if it was a challenge to them for Saturday or if you thought those guys were ready to take on more reps. Did what happened Saturday trouble you at all with the depth? Is that just a product of being out there for the first time? Was the depth, is it not where you guys really want to tackle? I'm throwing a lot out there.
No, I know, you're trying to figure out what was the evaluation coming out of it. Yeah, I get it. I think, again, it was a mixed bag. You know, do we want to see more consistent play? Yeah, we do. Was it like the 4th down stop by Taiwan Malone was a really good play. You know, he took an adjustment that happened in game, and you know, that happened on the sideline, and he made it on the field and made that play. I thought he had a really good play in the screen. He put his foot in the ground, redirected and made a play. But then there's also some clips of film that, you know, we got to be better. So, but I think that's sort of, I think about when Austin got put into that role in the first couple of weeks here in preseason camp, it wasn't very good because you have to almost recalibrate yourself to like, this is what I got to bring every single play. I can't just, it's not just 10 or 15 plays, and I got to bring it every single play. So, you know, we'll see where that goes this week. We'll see where Tyleek's at, but when those guys do get in there, you know, we're counting on, you know, an adjustment to be made and some progress to be made there.
Was the nature of that game with some of what they were running, the quarterback, the heat, the temperature on the field, the rubber melting or whatever, like, did it make it difficult at all? I know that you guys aren't going to ever lower the standard of expectation once you're out there and wearing that uniform, but did it make it more complicated to evaluate when all those factors are in?
No, you know, because they're the same for both sides, you know, and, you know, we're not going to make any excuses about that. I mean, you do your job, you don't. And there's a lot of things that can come into play. Like you said, there was some unique schemes in there, but still, ultimately, you did your job, you did. You either graded out a champion or you didn't, you know, and I think ultimately we have to make sure that we keep it just, you know, black and white, and that's what it is. And either you did your job or you didn't. You played good enough to win or you didn't. And so there's a lot that comes with that. And it's like instant feedback on how your preparation went. You know, how did you practice? How was your meetings? How were your walkthroughs? You know, did you spend enough time watching film? All those things. How about, did you get enough rest? Did you hydrate well enough, you know, the night before? So, you gotta evaluate all those things, figure out what you did well, enhance some of the things you didn't do, you gotta get them fixed. And that's a part of the progress, but you're getting good feedback when you're getting way more reps against, the ones than you would typically, if you're playing as a backup. So, we'll see where this thing goes, but they've certainly been challenged, and I know everybody in that room is gonna work hard to get it to where we need it to be.
Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
When you got the 4 big transfers, Will, Seth, Caleb, and Quinshon, you knew they were talented, but it's one thing to integrate them, and have they done and been everything that you hoped they would be, and how much of an addition has that been? It's a big one, but you quantify it.
I think, first off, it's the culture fit, and I think all of those guys have been excellent culture fits. I think when you watch all of them play, they play with emotion. They like to be around this team. There's a play where Seth's running downfield on, I don't know if it was a screen or one of the toss cracks, and he's downfield, and he's barking at the sideline, and he's just having fun. And Quinshon, same thing as that long run, and just see him jump up. And Caleb's out there, he's got great energy. Will, these guys, they just like being around this team, and to me, that's like the #1 thing, because, when you bring guys in, especially here, who have put them multiple years in the program, it's a little bit of a different deal for your culture, and you gotta make sure that you're sustaining a culture during these kind of unprecedented times. I think that's very important. On the field, again, you're seeing what you see, we see what we see in practice, but the challenges are bigger, and we'll kind of evaluate that, as we start getting more of these bigger games under our belt.
And Chip coached against Jonathan Smith. You probably a lot of familiar coaching against him, right?
Just that first game, I think, when he was at Oregon State, that was the first one, but he had just started there, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
How much does it help to have Chip to be able to bounce things off him because he obviously knows better?
Yeah. Again, I think he's an excellent coach, and yeah, Chip knows, him as a coach. It doesn't necessarily mean everything they did at Oregon State is what they're doing now. I think they've kind of made some adjustments based on their personnel. But, they have some familiarity there.
And final questions, Tim May, Letterman Row.
Thanks, Jerry. Just 2 quickies. Number 1, do you feel good where this running game is that you have going into the Big Ten meeting? Have you seen the consistency, et cetera? And I know everything's relative based on who you're playing, who you're blocking and stuff, but what's the indication that this running game is coming along like you envisioned?
Yeah, I don't feel good about anything. That's just my mindset. Yeah, I don't. And that has to be everybody's mindset. You start to feel good about something, complacency can sneak up on you fast. So nobody feels good about anything. I think we're building confidence in it, though. I think guys are starting to. Okay, we can get after some people now. And they're starting to have a little bit of fun and say, like, I'm going to line up against you and get after you. And I think, to me, in the way the running backs are running, and, that you can feel that's palatable when you're out there. And so we got to keep building on that. Again, bigger challenges are ahead and all that, but that part has been encouraging, I would say.
Yeah, and finishing downfield.
So I'm saying, to me, that's more than anything. We want the execution. You got to do your job. You got to grade out a champion, but it's how hard are you playing down the field and finishing blocks and finishing your runs. And we saw that here, but again, it's just the start.
And is it amazing to you how, because y'all have done this, you look at Michigan State, they didn't just bring in a new coach, they brought in other players. You know what I mean? They've reshaped their roster and stuff. People are used to like a sequential thing, I think, from college football. That's not the way it is anymore and stuff. But has Michigan State done a good job in that regard? How would you describe it?
Yeah, I think so. Like you said, it's year to year more than ever. And they've done a nice job. They're playing hard, and they put some good pieces into it. And they're a good team. To win that game on our road against Maryland, really, they caught everybody's attention.
Thanks, Mary.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian.